guys, welcome to my channel, Hannah's Homemaking. Welcome if you're coming back or welcome if you're new. We're happy to have you. Today we are going to be making macarons. Macarons are a French meringue style pastry that has little shells with any type of filling on the inside, like buttercream or ganache. So today we are going to be making that. They are pretty notoriously difficult, I'm not going to lie. Any little thing could go wrong. So we're gonna fingers crossed today that it all goes well for you guys in this how-to. But yeah, so are you guys excited? All right, well, let's get going. Alrighty guys, step one is gathering everything that you need. I have gathered everything here that I should theoretically need, so I'll go through that with you guys. Also, if you're curious, I've put the ingredient list in the bio below, so hopefully that's helpful for you guys. Otherwise, I think typing out all of the recipe itself would be a little bit complicated, but if you follow along with this step by step, we should be good to go. Alright, so ingredient wise, we're going to be making chocolate macarons, so chocolate shells with a chocolate ganache filling. So we're definitely going to be needing some chocolate. I am choosing semi-sweet morsels. You can do dark chocolate, white chocolate. I know white chocolate is a little bit finicky to work with, but usually I like to kind of stick with the semi-sweet just because it's a good mixture between milk chocolate and dark chocolate. So we're gonna do that. We'll also be needing powdered sugar, key ingredient for the shells. We'll also be needing 3 eggs. You can see here, this is a little trick that I learned kind of growing up, but you're gonna be needing 3 large eggs. Usually I forget to take my eggs out of the fridge, so it's really important to have room temperature eggs or else it'll kind of mess up the mixture and how it whips up into the meringue. So a trick that you can do is if you have cold eggs, you can put them in warm water for at least 30 minutes to kind of get up to room temperature. It's a good tips and trick that I have. Also, I'm really blessed to have my mom. She has chickens, so these are farm fresh eggs that we'll be using. We'll only be using the whites and not the yolks. The yolks can be used for like curds if you wanted to do like a lemon curd or something else, but we're gonna be sticking to chocolate, so we don't need them. I'll probably just use them for scrambled eggs or something later. But yeah, so eggs. You'll be needing butter. I definitely recommend room temperature butter as well. I think it's 20 grams. So we'll be using that for the filling, the ganache. You'll be needing baking chocolate, baking cocoa for the shells. It's definitely really important to have dry ingredients with meringues, especially the shells, because any type of extra moisture that you're adding could disrupt the structure of the shell and really make them flat or funky or whatever. So we're sticking with baking cocoa. Oh, also I've used dark chocolate baking cocoa before too, and that works great too. Alright, you'll need just regular granulated white sugar. And then some super fine almond flour. Just to note, we are going to be sifting everything. It's really important to sift things because any type of clump could damage the mixture as well for the shells. Alright, next for the ganache, you're gonna need heavy cream. This is important in making sure that we have a nice smooth mixture. And then you're also gonna need some distilled white vinegar. It's not for the recipe itself, it's for preparation. any types of oils or anything on the bowls or whisk or anything, it can damage the egg white structure and trying to get air in there. So it's important to have this to kind of wipe things down with too. But we'll go over that later. Alright, so those are our ingredients, and now we're going to go on to what we need equipment-wise. I think it's honestly very helpful to have a KitchenAid mixer or some sort of stand mixer. It has helped a lot. I have made macarons with a hand mixer once or twice. It does take significantly longer for me to do that, just because the mixing isn't as like evenly mixed. So it does take longer for that to whip up. But yes, love my KitchenAid. It's probably the best thing that I ever have in this kitchen. I'll also need the whisk attachment, and I also have this handy dandy tool that I popped on here. It's to get out, like as you can see, once there is a mixture in there, you can get all the extra goodies out by pushing this up. Honestly, I kind of need a two-person job because it can be kind of hard to do this sometimes, but we're making it work. It's okay. All right, so we have that. Another very important staple that we have in the kitchen in general is a scale. I have one that does ounces, fluid ounces, grams, and milliliters. Very important to have this, especially for this recipe. I think it's also just great to have in general. It'll also come in handy if you're planning to do sourdough as well. So yeah, it just makes it really accurate, and I just think it's a good thing, especially if you're trying to count calories or your macros or whatever. I don't personally do that, but I know people who do that, and a scale does come in handy. You'll also need a sifter. I have two types of sifters. I have this one, and then I have a little crank one. The crank one I like, but it's kind of a pain in the butt, I'm not gonna lie. So we're gonna stick with this one today. We'll see how it works. I've used it with some other recipes. I haven't quite used it with the macarons yet, but we will see how that goes. If not, I'll be pulling out the old one, but if you have something like this, it'll help. It needs to be a pretty fine mesh, that way we can get all the clumps out of the almond flour, the cocoa powder, everything like that. So we're good there. You'll need at least 1 or 2 bowls. I'm going to be using the stand mixer bowl as well. You'll be needing definitely a spatula, probably spoon, teaspoon to measure things out, but just to hold the mixtures as well. And then, I'm sorry, I'm fighting off a sneeze right now. You'll want baking pans. They say traditionally it is best to have baking pans that do not have edges around them. So what I'm going to be doing with this one is flipping it over to use that. It's just, especially if you have a convection oven, to get the air to equally hit all of the macaron shells. It's also extremely helpful to have these baking sheets. These are specifically made for macarons, the different sizes on here. They are very helpful to make sure that you have uniform macarons. If you don't have this, it's totally fine, not a big deal. You can definitely use parchment paper. I know some people like to draw, little circles on there as their template, or they just go rogue and just pipe whatever they want, which I've done before too, and that works. Sometimes they just come out a little uneven, and that's okay, that's home baking. But if you want them to look extra professional, it's definitely helpful to have this. Alright, one of the last things, you're gonna want some decorating bags. These are like 20 years old. I'm not even joking, I'm serious. They're from when my mom used to decorate and bake cakes as a living. So it's kind of where my history comes from. But these are the Wilton bags. They're awesome. We're going to be using them to be piping the shell mixture and also the ganache, so those are very important. Along with that, you're going to want to have the little tip and extra, you know, I don't even know what these are called, the little parts to it. Right, today I'm using the Wilton 18 tip. Honestly, I don't know what happened to my other tip that I normally use for this, but it's okay. I'm gonna live. I can't remember where I put it, which is a bummer. I have like a pack of them, which is fine. But as long as it's like a pretty like open tip, you should be perfectly fine. The macaron mixture should be thin enough to where it doesn't show these ridges on it, with like a normal buttercream. So we're gonna go with that, and it'll be great. You can use whatever you want. I just think that an open mouth one would be appropriate. Anything smaller would be kind of harder to get the mixture out in. And then lastly, a vase for beautiful flowers. Just kidding, we're not using it for flowers, but we are using it for the piping bag. I find it very helpful to put the bag in here with the edges kind of flipped over. That way it's really easy to get the mixture into the bag. I just find that it's really hard if you're doing it by hand. So if you have any type of vase that has just wide enough mouth for that, that would be awesome. Side note, I apologize, my puppy is playing with his toy. He's silly, so we're just gonna go with it, and that's okay. So that's him in the background. But yes, so those are all of what we should need. If there's anything else, I will let you know as we go along. But yeah, so I'm really excited to show you how this process is going. But yeah, let's get going. Alrighty guys, so we're here, step one, trying to make the chocolate macarons. The first thing that I would really like to do is kind of prep our area. So what we're going to be doing is making sure that our bowl and our mats and the baking mats are nice and clean, free from oil and residue. Again, it's really important for the structure of our macaron to have clean surfaces, so make sure to wash your hands per usual, which I already have. But yes, so we're going to take a paper towel and take our distilled vinegar, and I know it smells terrible, but I promise you don't taste anything. I just kind of soak it in here, and then I'm gonna take the whisk, and you're just gonna kind of wipe it down. It should get any of the extra gunk or whatever off of what you were cooking before, like especially like, you know, cookies, cakes, whatever that has oil, like an oil-based cake specifically. It's helpful. Same with the bowl. Make sure that that's nice and rubbed down. Don't be afraid to like use as much vinegar as you need. It won't taste like it. It's totally fine. You'll be okay. Plus it dries really quickly. So that's good to go. And then we need to do the baking mats as well. These ones kind of need a little extra because I feel like I haven't used them in a hot minute. While I'm doing this, shout out to my coworker Kim. She's so sweet. She is awesome. She is the one that encouraged me to start this channel, to start kind of showing kind of like my lifestyle and what I love to do with others. A lot of people have questions, how do you make macarons? That's really like complicated. I don't think I can do it. But honestly, it's really just math. It's really just science behind everything. Once you kind of understand what you need to look for, you should be good to go. So we love Kim. Shout out to her. Thanks for encouraging me to do this. All right, so these guys are clean. I'm gonna put these over on my table for baking later. Alrighty, so I'm gonna wash my hands really quick again because I don't want stinky white vinegar on my hands, and I'll be right back. Alrighty guys, so we are going to start off baking by making the chocolate ganache. Usually I like to start this first just because sometimes, Marshall, stop. Sorry. He likes to be at my feet, so forewarning. Anyway, for the chocolate ganache, it takes it time to set and get into a good texture to pipe with. We're going to be sticking it, once we kind of melt everything together, we'll stick it in the fridge. That way it can be cool and ready to pipe when the shells are ready. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be weighing out all the ingredients and sticking the heavy cream in the microwave for 1.5 minutes in 30-second intervals to be able to get it hot enough to melt the chocolate and everything. Alright, so we're going to take our scale. We are going to weigh out 120 grams of the heavy cream into a microwave safe bowl. I'm going to be using my glass Pyrex. So we'll zero that scale out and we'll take the heavy cream and do 120 grams. Oh man, I had a heavy hand. I should know better because I weigh things out for a living. Alright, 122, good enough. Alright, so we're done with this guy. We're gonna be taking this heavy cream and putting it in the microwave. Again, for 1.5 minutes, but at 30-second intervals. So I'm only gonna be putting it in for 30 seconds. And what we're looking for around the 1.5 minute mark is for bubbles to start to form on the very edge of the surface. That way we know it's hot enough to melt everything. While that's doing its thing, I will let you know how much we need of the chocolate and the butter. So we're going to need equal parts chocolate and equal parts heavy cream. So we're going to be needing to weigh out 120 grams of chocolate and then 20 grams of the soft butter. So we can do that while this is doing its thing. Zero the scale, once again, very important. Also, I'm going to say I did not refrigerate or freeze these before. Obviously, it would take longer for them to melt if they had been, so I just kind of recommend keeping them out in room temperature. Alrighty, so looks like my mixture, you probably can't see it very well, but it's starting to bubble at the edge and it's starting to steam. Goodness gracious, can't talk. So that means that that's fine. It only was 1 minute, but that's okay. I mean, I guess I have a really strong microwave and that's fine. Alright, so let's weigh out 120 grams of the chocolate chips. I need to cut a bigger hole. Alright, 121 grams, about equal. So we're done with those guys. Alright, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be weighing out the butter too. So you can either keep the scale as it is and go to 140, or you can zero it out again. We'll see. I'm just going to guess maybe about this much. Ah, stellar. Couldn't make that up, guys, I swear. It's probably about a tablespoon of butter if I were to guess. But yeah, we're done with that guy. Now what we're gonna do is we can take that off the scale and we're gonna pour the hot liquid into our butter and chocolate chips. Alrighty, so we are gonna let that kind of gel and get itself nice and warm so that we can stir it until it's a smooth mixture. Alrighty, so we're gonna wait about 5 minutes for that, so I have that kind of on my clock. While we are doing that, let's look at the directions again. So we're going to separate the egg whites and yolk. Again, we're going to be using the egg whites for this to make the meringue. And then we're going to add them to the stand mixer, and we're going to put it on low until they're frothy. Alrighty, so here's our eggs. I kind of dried them off too. Also, very important, before you do anything, take the bowl and put it on the scale and zero it, because we need to know the weight of these eggs. That's the premises of all of this, of how to get the grams and the weight of everything that you need. Alright, so the thing about farm fresh eggs is that they don't exactly separate how you want them all the time, but that's okay. And I think that they generally recommend that you take about, or that you get around 120 grams of eggs total. So right now we're at 30, or maybe it's between 90 and 120. I think that's more right. Is that between around 90 and 120 grams of egg whites to make an appropriate batch of macarons to get about 24-ish. I don't know, I just go with the flow. I just make one at a time. Try not to get the white or the shells in there like I just did. Goodness gracious. At least there's a big piece. Alright, one more. See if this one separates better than the rest of them. It's honestly embarrassing for me right now. Once again, no, it didn't. I think it's because they're slightly warmish, but that's okay. Alright, we'll call that good. We're at 103 grams, so that is what we're going to be using for the recipe. Alrighty, you guys need to remember the 103 for me because I'm probably going to forget. So, the 103 means that we are going to be needing 103 grams of sugar. That's just the regular white sugar. And then for the almond flour and powdered sugar, we're going to be needing 103 times 1.2. That's very important so that we can get the right recipe and the right, what is that called? Ratio between the elements. So 1.2 times 103 is 123.6. So that's how much the almond flour and powdered sugar that we'll be needing. And then for the chocolate or the baking cocoa, we're going to be needing 10% of the egg's weight. So 103, 10%. So that's 10 grams of cocoa powder. But yeah, so we're gonna do that. All right, so we have the egg whites in here. We're gonna put them on the stand mixture. Put the whisk on. lock it, and then we're gonna put our stand mixer on low, probably like 2 of a setting, until they're pretty frothy. Maybe 3 if you're feeling spicy. I'm feeling spicy today, so that's what we're gonna do. And I'll come back in about 3 minutes. Alrighty guys, so while this is doing its thing, we're still not quite there yet. We are going to check on the ganache, and then we're also going to be weighing out the amount of granulated sugar that we need. Granulated sugar is the exact amount that we had for our eggs, so 103 grams. I'm going to put the sugar in this, so we'll zero that. Take this white sugar. I already have a little scooper in here. So we're gonna go for 103. All right, this is how much sugar we need. We'll put that aside. Now we're just gonna check on the ganache. Just gonna take this and we're gonna, it looks nice and melty now. Hopefully you can see that. But we're gonna mix it around until it is a smooth mixture. And once it's a smooth mixture, I'm gonna put some, what is it called? Saran wrap. Saran wrap. We're gonna put some saran wrap over the top of this, and then stick it in the fridge for it to set. We're not there yet. I'm gonna bump this up a little bit. It's taking too long for me. Alright, so if you could see in here, we have a nice smooth silky texture for this guy. Alright, so I'm going to take this saran wrap and kind of put it over the top, and I want it to touch the top of the chocolate. Takes a little bit of finagling. Excuse me, Marshall. Marshall's like, hey guys, what are you doing? Can I eat anything? Alright, so if you can kind of see in here, I have that on the top of it, and I'm going to stick this in the fridge, and it'll cool by the time that we're ready for piping it. Alright, so let's check on that mixture. Going a little ham over here, jeez. Alright, so kind of see, maybe we'll be lucky. I don't think so. So you can see I've started to mix this, and it's starting to get kind of frothy. That's what we're looking for the meringue, to incorporate air into those egg whites so that it can rise properly. All right. Once we do this, you can tell people that you've made a meringue, and that's pretty fancy. So that's awesome. All right, so from now on, we are going to be putting just teaspoons or spoonfuls. I'm gonna be using like a tablespoon, but I think it's really like teaspoons. As long as you put the sugar in slowly, you'll be completely fine. It just needs to dissolve within the egg whites for it to rise properly. So we're gonna be doing that in about 30-second intervals, and we're gonna be adding the granulated sugar. And let me check. So we're gonna be putting it on medium-low, whisking for 10 minutes. While we do this, or just kidding, we're doing it, yeah, medium-low. We're doing it for medium-low until however long it takes for the sugar to dissolve. So I'm just gonna take a spoonful and just add it in. And then we're gonna be waiting 30-second intervals until that is all done. I'm gonna try, if I can, I've never done this before, I'm gonna try to speed up, double time this part of the video, that way you don't have to sit painfully and watch me do this every 30 seconds. But yes, so you're gonna be wanting to do that. But yeah, here we go. Alrighty, so I just added all of the sugar in, and what we're going to be doing next is we're going to be keeping it on about medium for 10 minutes until stiff peaks form. I can kind of show you right now, actually, before we kind of start this. Right now we're pretty liquidy texture. It looks like really creamy. And you can kind of see that the sugar has kind of dissolved. So we're going to be taking that and whisking it for 10 minutes. And I'm putting it on medium as in 4, so we'll go from there. So I have a timer and I will see you in a couple minutes. Alrighty guys, we are about there. Our 10 minutes is up. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to stop this and I'm gonna show you what my mixture looks like. So as you can see right now, you can see that it's starting to hold its shape, and that is what basically a meringue is. Alright, so we're looking for those stiff peaks. This looks about right, but I'm gonna show you the batter. So this is what it looks like. You can kind of, stir it. It's pretty stiff. You can see that. So I'm pretty confident in this mix, but if yours doesn't exactly look like this, you're gonna put it in and mix again for another 3 minutes on medium-high until you get these stiff peaks. What you're looking for is that you're confident that once you flip this bowl over your head, I'm not joking, put it over your head, it is not going to drop on your head. So I'd say my mix is pretty good. So here we go. You guys ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, so that's what we're looking for. We're looking for these awesome peaks. I might whip it for maybe another minute, just for good measure, just because I normally do. I feel like it never comes out this good for me the first try, and I always have to go like a little bit longer. So might as well do what I'm used to. So I'd say go about setting 6 and go for another 3 minutes if your batter is not looking as good as mine right now. So while that's kind of doing its thing, we can start on getting our dry ingredients ready for the macaron shells. So that's going to be the cocoa powder, the almond flour, and the powdered sugar. If you remember, we're going to be multiplying the weight of the eggs by 1.2 to figure out the almond flour and the powdered sugar. For the cocoa powder, it's 10% of the egg weight originally, to figure that out. If you don't want chocolate macaron shells, you can just omit that step completely. It won't disrupt the batter at all if you have less of that dry ingredient. Theoretically, if you weren't doing chocolate and you didn't want them, just regular white, then you can add any type of like gel food coloring at this point. I do not recommend using any type of liquid. The liquid in here is going to disrupt everything. It will make your macaron shells flat. So I recommend using gel food coloring if you were going to use any. I know before I've made strawberry cheesecake macarons and I've used pink gel food coloring and it's worked fine. But yeah, you just try to keep this recipe as close as possible. Alright, so I'd say that's probably about a minute. It's good for me. Whatever. Alright, so we are good to go. It's looking even better. It's clumping up even more, so I'm confident with that. So we're going to leave this for a hot minute while we weigh out our ingredients that we need for the dry. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking the scale, a separate bowl, and your sifter, and we're going to zero that guy out. And we are going to need 123.6 grams of the flour and the powdered sugar. We'll just do the powdered sugar really quick. And what I like to do is, just because this one has like a good handle and a lip, I am able to pour it into the sifter and then sift it after it's weighed however much I need. If you don't have that luxury like me, you can totally put it in a separate bowl and then dump it in through the sifter as needed. But we're gonna try this. Okay, got that guy. And I'm just gonna sift that for us. The powdered sugar is usually comes through effortlessly just because it's already usually not exposed to any moisture or anything. So it's good to go. So we're gonna put that on there again. We're done with the powdered sugar. And we're going to move on to the almond flour in same amount. Alright. We're good there, and so I'm going to go ahead and sift this guy. It might take me a minute just because it's obviously bigger chunks than just the powdered sugar. Nice. Alrighty, so you could probably see these big chunks in here. That's what we're afraid of if we didn't sift. So what I'm gonna do is to kind of quicken the process, just use my little spatula to get it in there to break up the chunks. Alrighty, so we're good to go there. You can kind of dust that off if you want. Alrighty, beautiful. So we have this, and now we just need to weigh out our cocoa powder, and that we need 10 grams of. Beautiful. All right. Usually a whisk is easiest to incorporate all the dry ingredients easily. You can get away with using a spatula. Sometimes that can get a little bit messy. I always do that. So we're gonna be good and we're gonna use the spatula that I already have. Oh, also, I kind of did a naughty. I forgot to sift the cocoa powder because there can be and will be chunks in there. I'm just gonna hope that it's okay because I already made the mistake and I already sifted it. I can definitely go back and sift through again the whole thing into another. See, like you probably can't see, but there are chunks. So I might go ahead and just sift everything through again, just to make sure that it's all nice and smooth for you guys and it turns out as perfect as possible. So I'm just gonna grab this other bowl that I told myself I wasn't gonna use, but you know, we're using it. Alrighty, we're gonna take this again and just put everything through. Again, doesn't hurt. You'll definitely get your arm workout during this recipe though. Between this and then there's also the, you're gonna deflate the batter and then piping. That takes a lot of arm muscle, so you better be buff. Alright. Alrighty guys, so I resifted that just for peace of mind for me and for you guys, so don't forget to do that step. I wanted to show you, you can use this whisk and kind of like help the mixture through. It does make it a lot faster. Honestly, I totally forget to do that sometimes. Plus I'm a little bit nervous since this is my first video. So you can totally do that too. It makes it a lot faster. I recommend doing that. But yeah, so we're done with these guys. And what we're going to be doing next is we're going to be mixing the batter together with the wet ingredients and the dry ingredients to create the mixture for the shells. So I'm just going to go ahead and take this little doodah off. And you can see how nicely that just made it for me. That way I don't have to scrape through all of these little individual things. But yeah, super handy. Amazon. I think it was like 10 bucks or something like that. Not very expensive, very worth it. All right, so we're gonna take this guy and we're done with our stand mixer. Alrighty, so what we're gonna be doing with our meringue and our dry powder ingredients, we're gonna be putting half of the dry ingredients in at a time and mixing. So here we go. That's about half. So when we start to mix, we're going to kind of do it in a, I don't want to say figure eight, so you like come around the bottom and then you cut through the middle to kind of mix it through. This just ensures that you keep some of the moisture, or the air, gosh, not moisture, the air in. Try not to get all of this on yourself. I might put my apron on, that way it's actually in use, because I just made it too. So you'll get to see my apron, and we're just gonna combine this until it's just combined, and it's gonna get wet and sticky really quickly. So let me put my apron on really quick and I'll be back. Alright guys, so I got my apron on. We're gonna continue mixing everything together. And I know it kind of sounds redundant, but we're going to, so we worked up all this air, right, with the whisking of the egg whites and stuff. You want to be kind of gentle with this process, that way we don't knock out too much air. But the next step after this is that we're going to be actually deflating the batter to make an appropriate piping consistency. Alright, so you can see this is just combined, and I'm going to be putting the second half on. And we'll do the same thing. And don't worry, it might scare you a little bit, but it'll be okay. It can be daunting at first because you're like, I don't know what I'm looking for, and you know, but it's all just trial and error. I don't really know if this has anything to do with it, but I live in Colorado and, you know, in Denver area, and so we're kind of at higher altitude than a lot of places. So I feel like I've just generally been really lucky with my batter and not having it be deflated too much unless I purposefully do it. Just trialing things. So yeah, I would just be careful if you're at like lower altitude or anything, just in case. All right, so we are just combined. We are going to start deflating the batter. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna mix it until it comes into like people say it's like lava, like a lava flow. And pretty much we're looking for, if we were to pick, you know, a chunk of batter up, you can see this is pretty solid. It's not really, it's very slowly going places. I wouldn't consider that lava, but we're gonna deflate it enough, mix it enough to where it looks like lava. And when I pick a chunk of this up, and I can move it, the spatula, in a figure 8, and it just slowly pours out the whole time. That's what we're looking for. So I'm gonna take you along with this process. It might take a minute. It's kind of an arm workout to deflate the batter. But yeah, so what I normally do, if you're really worried about the texture of your batter and it's already looking less like, I guess, more like lava at this point, I would be really gentle. I would scoop around and then just kind of push it down. Scoop around and push it down. But I have a lot of air in mine, so I'm not super worried, so I'm just gonna aggressively kind of beat it down on the side. And it's gonna get really sticky, so if you get this on your hands or anything, I'm sorry. It is just kind of the process. It's all of the sugar that's incorporated in this. And don't be afraid to test the batter after each round. So it's looking a little bit more slack. That's the word, slack. It's looking a little bit more slack, but we're still, see, we're getting there, but we're still not at the point that we need to be. I feel like as it starts to slacken, it gets darker too. So you can see that it's getting more brown. My arm's killing me. All right. Alrighty. Lava. This is what we're looking for, guys. So you can test it by just looking at that, if you could see the texture, and then also if you can make a figure 8 with the batter. That's what we want. I hope that you could see that. But yes, that's what we're looking for. So now we're gonna set up everything for the piping that we need. And I just like to make sure to scrape everything off the sides so that we're nice and ready. Rinse off my hands really quick, that way they're not super sticky. All right. Alrighty, for those of you who have never done a piping bag before, they come like this with the open top and a closed bottom. What we're gonna do is we're gonna cut the bottom off. I'd say probably about there. I'll show you what you're looking for with that. So we're gonna open this bag. It's gonna have a hole in the bottom. And we're gonna put our piping tip on top of this doodah. And then we're gonna push it all the way to the top. And you want the hole big enough to where it is not like way down here. It needs to have enough to where we can screw this top part on. So you'll see like it's just a normal screw. And you can just go boom, and it creates that seal so that the batter or frosting or whatever you're working with doesn't go through. So what I'm talking about with the vase is that we're gonna kind of put the inside out like this. Also, it's helpful for this batter specifically if you have like a vase and you're worried about like how tall it is, like this one's pretty tall. I put a paper towel on the bottom just so that it catches some of the batter, because it's pretty slack right now. So once I put it in, I'm gonna hang this over the top. Beautiful. That way it's just like that. All right, now we're gonna pour all of our batter in here. Well, actually, how about I move my camera? That way you can see the setup over here. That way I don't lose too much batter once I put it in here. Because it's pretty slack, so it wants to run out. So let me set up the camera really quick and you'll get to see my kitchen table. Alrighty guys, so what we're going to be doing now is piping everything onto our sheets and then preheating the oven. We're going to pipe it on here first because with macarons you need to have them, you need to tap out all the bubbles and then you need to leave them for 15 minutes to create a shell. That way you can get those feet, they're called, that rising and the perfect shiny glossy top. So what I'm going to do, I apologize if you can't see my face, but we are going to put all this batter in here and then start piping. Oh my goodness, my hand is cramping right now. I haven't drank enough water today. Oops. Alrighty. Good to squish it as much as possible. All right, and you can see it's already starting to kind of come out of the piping bag because it is so fluid. So what we're going to be doing, you can put your finger on the tip if you want to stop. But what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be choosing one of these circles, and we're gonna be just trying to get as circular as possible. So you kind of see how I'm able to do that. It's kind of hard to explain, easier to just do. So here's like an example. I'm just gonna kind of push it around in the center until we get to that first dot, and then pull up. Beautiful. You're trying to ideally get these to be pretty uniform, that way they fit top and bottom. They're beautiful for whomever you are making them for, your spouse, your significant other, your co-workers, like for me, who else? Family events, just want to impress everyone. So honestly, I'm gonna try to do this as quickly as possible because they kind of start drying and setting, and I want to make sure I have enough time to make sure they relax and get all of the extra air, ugly air bubbles out. And usually I do one sheet at a time, and then tap it, like the bottoms, and then start on this one. And as you can see, those first ones that I'm doing, they're relaxing enough to where you don't see these like weird star-shaped from my piping bag. It's definitely not the tip that I was previously using. Not sure what happened to that one, but this one works just fine. I don't even remember the number or anything that it was previously, so can't really buy a new one unless I'm just looking at them. Pause so you can kind of see these guys. The bottom ones are beautiful so far. So I'm just gonna tap to see if any air bubbles come up. We're looking pretty good though. Sometimes I get batter that has too much air in it, but these ones are looking pretty good. If you do have like ugly big air bubbles, you can take a toothpick and you can pop them and kind of like make sure that they're all nice and pretty. But those ones are good to go. So I'm gonna finish up piping everything onto this guy. Alexa, set a timer for 15 minutes.
15 minutes, starting now.
And you'll want these guys to form their film for 15 minutes. Also, you'll want to set your oven. You'll want to start that guy. I'm like 95% sure that you're setting your oven to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. I'll double check that after I'm done with this. I feel like I have less batter than I normally do, which is fine. They really do vary based off of the weight of your eggs. I feel like I normally have enough to create at least 2 trays worth. But I feel like I might be a little bit short, but we'll see. Ooh, I barely might have enough. It's gonna be an ugly one, but you know. Beautiful. Wow, couldn't have made that up. Beautiful. All right, let's double check our oven temperature. 300 degrees. All right, well, I will come back in a couple minutes. Alrighty guys, so the 15 minutes have come and gone. These guys are ready to be put in the oven. You're gonna bake them at 300 degrees Fahrenheit for 18 minutes. And what you're going to be looking for when they're done is that number one, they've risen and they've created that little notorious like feet. And then number two, you can also tell when they're done when you pull them out safely, of course. And then you can run your finger across the top of them to make sure that they've hardened completely. So that's what I'm going to do. Alexa, set a timer for 18 minutes.
18 minutes, starting now.
All right, we'll see you when they're done baking. Alrighty guys, well I pulled them out of the oven. Honestly, I kind of left them in the oven a little bit longer than 18 minutes because I felt like they needed it. I felt the top skin and I feel like they just needed a couple extra minutes, but I'll show you what they turned out to be. I'm gonna forewarn you and say that they're not perfect. Not every batch will be perfect. There's like little micro things that could just really mess it up. I'm still learning too, so obviously there's room for grace and improvement. I will show you. This is one of the batches. I think this one's kind of the better of the two. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like I probably should have taken them out a little bit sooner. Like I feel like that one's like a little toasty. But yeah, they look okay. You can tell when they're ready because they'll peel off pretty easily, and they're pretty firm on the top. You can feel the skin. But yeah, this one, I don't honestly even know what happened. I mean, they're not bad, it's just, they're not perfect. But as you can see, these ones kind of bled, like the little feet, they're called. They kind of weren't perfect. That's okay. I mean, macarons are macarons. They're delicious anyway. But yeah, so we're gonna let these guys cool, and then after they cool, we'll be able to pipe the ganache in. You pretty much just flip them all over and fill half of them and then sandwich them, and then we'll be good to go, and I'll show you that process. Hey guys, so our macarons are cooled down and our lovely chocolate ganache is set. You can tell, obviously, it's pretty set. Also, it's pretty firm to the touch, so I can remove that, and it looks pretty nice. I'm gonna put it into a piping bag, and then I'm gonna use the same tip. It's kind of whatever you like. Of course, this one is gonna matter more to, you know, like for the aesthetic compared to, you know, just the macaron batter, which thins out. But yeah, so I'm gonna put it into a piping bag, and I'm gonna pipe the macarons. I am using the more ugly Macaron Shells to be the bottoms, and then I'm going to use the nice ones for the top. So yeah, here we go. And with the ganache, it's obviously going to be pretty thick. So you're going to want to make sure that you kind of stuff it in there to the bottom. Try to get as much of the air bubbles kind of out as possible, or else you're going to be like, mid piping, and then it's going to be like a big air bubble. So, just kind of squish it around there, and it'll be good. And this one, you shouldn't have to worry about it like coming out of the bottom, so that's good. Oh, so good. All right. Alrighty, here we go. Just kind of same process. We're going to be going in a circular motion from the inside out, like a pinwheel. But yeah, so yeah, you want it to kind of look like that. You don't want a ton of ganache in there unless you really want to, but usually I put kind of a good amount in there. But yeah, we'll just go ahead and do all of those. It's definitely having a harder time getting out of the piping bag with a smaller tip size than what I normally use, but it's okay. It almost might be a little cold. Backlog. Yeah, continue with that until it's done. Alrighty guys, there are our chocolate macarons. I'm so proud of them and happy with how they turned out. Obviously they're not perfect, but that's okay. They're home baked. I'm sure that they're still absolutely delicious and all of your friends and family will enjoy them. But yeah, I mean, you could see that they're properly filled on the inside, pretty squishy. Once they sit in the fridge overnight, they'll get that perfect texture. So I would definitely recommend making them in advance and storing them in the fridge so that they can kind of set. But yeah, they're absolutely delicious. They're yummy. They don't, they're not too frail or brittle or anything. But yeah, so I hope that you guys really enjoyed this video. I really truly enjoyed making it for you guys. I hope that you guys can get in the kitchen and find this really inspiring to start baking your own. But yeah, thanks to Kim. And hopefully I will be making another video soon for you guys, whether that be baking, crocheting, anything of the sorts. But thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Have a great day.